We have to pay attention to our wants. In fact, I came across this study that happened a couple years ago. It was with people who were trying to give up smoking. And so they've been taught all these techniques. They've been taught all these kind of like ways to kind of minimize their cravings. And so if you want to smoke, distract yourself. You really want to reach for that cigarette, just pretend like you don't. Again, ignore yourself, ignore your desires, ignore your cravings. They did this study where they said, okay, don't do that. What we're going to do is we're going to directly face them. We're going to actually pay attention to what it is you're feeling. So they said, okay, here's the experiment. They had a group of people, all smokers. And they said, okay, we don't want you to smoke like 48 or more hours before this experiment. So they didn't smoke. They said, when you come into the lab or wherever we're going to do this experiment, bring in your favorite pack of cigarettes and a lighter, whatever you need to smoke. They all show up. Say, okay, sit down. First, number one, take out your cigarettes. So look at the pack. Now stop. And they waited for 2 minutes. Said, okay, now, pack the pack, whatever you do to get ready to smoke, pack the pack and then stop. And waited for 2 minutes. Said, okay, now unwrap the pack, take off the cellophane. Okay, now stop for 2 minutes. So now open the thing. Okay, stop, 2 minutes. They kept doing this, take out a cigarette, smell the cigarette, hold it in your fingers, take out your lighter, look at the lighter. They did this, and every time they had one of those movements, they said, okay, stop for 2 minutes. It took them an hour. And no one lit a cigarette. In fact, after an hour, they said, okay, now you can go home. No one got a chance to light a cigarette. But it was remarkable because they said that this one group of people that they had primed ahead of time, the next week, almost 50% of them had reduced their smoking. And it wasn't because they were distracted, it wasn't because of it was because that when they went into this experiment, the experimenters said, okay, they taught them this thing called surfing the urge. And the surfing the urge was this. It was basically saying, when you have a craving, pay attention to it. When you have a desire, pay attention to it. And let yourself feel the craving. But you know this. You know that the crave is going to come and the crave is going to go. Like a wave. When you're amongst the waves, do you guys know this? Have you ever been in the ocean? You don't fight against the wave. You ride the wave. So they taught these people not to distract themselves from their desires, not to distract themselves from what they wanted, not to pretend they didn't really want it, but to attend to it. And then in those 2 minutes, they would write down, okay, here's the craving. Here's how I'm surfing the urge. I'll let it come, and I'm just going to let it pass. Because of that, they grew in freedom. Not by ignoring themselves, but by attending to themselves. And so here's again, once again,